Welcome, Ms. Anu Acharya. She is the founder and CEO of Mapmygenome. And first of all, many congratulations to you and to your team for the success and elaborating your team to Delhi as well now. And Delhi is about to have the personalized healthcare that you provide. You and your team have been providing in Hyderabad for so long. So I would like to know, first of all, what discoveries led to this genomic success?
And thank you so much, Paulomi. So we've just inaugurated the lab in Delhi yesterday, but it's been about 20 years of, or more, actually now 21, of being in the genomics field. So I started in the year 2000, and we had a company called Osmum Bio that we ended up becoming one of the largest genomic services players worldwide. The challenge, of course, was that when we started looking at what was happening with the personalized medicine space, all of that was dependent on data. And one of the challenges was that even though we constitute 20% of the world's population, the amount of data that we had for the Indian population was very little. And I think that was one of the reasons. The second is that I think, like most of us know, our healthcare system is very geared towards the curative and not so much towards the preventive. And I thought that, if we could do something that would help us to actually tackle the problem earlier, then the cost for the consumer, the cost for the patient, the cost for the state also reduces. So I think that is how we got started with Mapmygenome about 7 years ago. And very glad that now we are able to expand our footprint, even though we can currently already do the test for across India. But I think it's always better to be physically present in Delhi.
Definitely so. And I would like to ask you, how did you or your company, or did you get a chance to contribute during the acute COVID crisis that we had this year?
Absolutely. I think it was a call for action for every biotech company in the country. The pathology chains obviously were also doing a lot of the basic testing. So for us, I think we had multiple roles to play within this field. The first that we did was to be able to look at our customer base and be able to help them understand the disease from a human genome perspective. And so we came out with a product called the Genome Patri Immunity, where we help them understand that. So that was what we did for our existing customers. The second was that a lot of people knew that we were doing a lot of RT-PCR, even though it was not for, at that point, not as the way we are currently doing it. But we very quickly, within a month or so, got our act together, got certified by NABL and ICMR. And we started to be able to do RT-PCR testing initially just at our laboratory in Hyderabad. Then we quickly figured that there would be airports that would need this testing, and so we actually built a lab at the Hyderabad airport, and we started doing the testing over there as well. The other things that we were also being able to work on the COVID part was also to be able to understand it from a seroprevalence perspective. So I got involved with a lot of different states, and we did quite a lot of studies in multiple states, including Karnataka and others. So I think for us, I think COVID has been a reason, in some ways, justifying our reason for existence in many ways, because we were able to contribute quite significantly. Also, to be able to work with CCMB and other institutions for the sequencing part of the viral genome as well. So I think in many ways, I think a lot has changed for us over the last 2 years. And while our focus still remains as genomic testing and genetic counseling, I think unless the pandemic ends, I think most of us will not be able to get on to life as we knew it BC or before COVID.
That's true. And what should I understand? How different is your system from that of the government?
Well, it's not different. I think we work with this. We work with the government in some ways. So there are 2-3 things we do which are slightly different, and we hope that the government and us work together. It's not like we belong to different countries. So there were 2-3 innovations that we have been working on. And one was we work with a company called Zymo, where we work on reducing the cost of doing the whole steps that are involved in the testing. And as a result, you don't need to do the DNA extraction step, and you can do that faster. So I think doing an RT-PCR within a span of 1-2 hours, I think is an important step to be able to get to a reduced time. And we are able to work on that on an inactivated substance and so on. So I think we are working with hopefully with a lot of, we are also donating to a lot of the Indian states, hoping that we are able to help them in that process. But the idea really is that there are 2-3 things we can do as a country. One is to be able to reduce the cost, which I think India has done a fantastic job of. I don't think anywhere the cost of COVID testing is anywhere close to what we have in the country. And the second is to be able to find a way to very quickly, if we can, to be able to use that information and actually make sure that we understand the progress of the virus before it actually spreads in the community. And I think in the way I look at it, I don't think it's we need to separate out one or the other institutions over here, because you're all working in tandem.
Why Delhi? Like, why did you choose Delhi after Hyderabad?
So we are working with quite a few hospitals in Delhi. And so that was one. And the second is, I think Delhi is the national capital. So there are a lot of, there is a lot of significant scope of expansion for us. And I think I've come to Delhi very often. So I think there is, I think I have some sort of an attachment to Delhi. So I think there was, the first set of expansion we thought was in Delhi, and we are hoping to get to some of the other cities. I think Bangalore is next.
That's nice to know. And with the new COVID variants coming in, like the Omicron, the latest variant that we have got to know, how is your company or your research going? Are you into it? Are you researching about the Omicron variant as well? Can you shed more light for us, like about its potential?
So we are doing 2-3 things, and we have just submitted an abstract on the human genome and the impact on COVID, right? So we looked at our database, and then we looked at the susceptibility and all of that, and we've just actually submitted it. That is one. The second is that we are also looking at, we also work with some of the institutions in the city. And whenever there are positive samples, we are working with them because of what the INSACOG consortium is doing, and also otherwise, I think, to work with the institutions to be able to see how much the spread is. So there is obviously the whole part where we work on the airport samples, and then there are also other samples that come in which are in the community. And I think it's important to look at both to be able to understand what is going on with the spread of the virus, rather than because the Omicron clearly is extremely transmissible. So it's very important that we contain it as quickly as we can. So we are working with some of the institutions, and we are working also with the state authorities and the airport authorities to be able to send all the samples for sequencing that come to the airport as well.
Okay, so little bit away from what we have been discussing, being a woman entrepreneur, how difficult was it, or was it a smooth journey for you, or did COVID play a very important role in this entire journey?
So I think I'm in the space that is new. So I think it is more the fact that not many people know that much about the space. I think it's before COVID, right? I think now people know RT-PCR, people talk about CT values, and people talk about a lot of things that I don't think a common person talked about before. So I think more than being a woman, I think it was that I was trying to do something that was new and innovative in a country that wasn't exposed to that earlier. And I think COVID definitely played a very important role in educating some of the masses on what role molecular testing, on what is, what exactly is DNA, what is RNA. And while there is still a lot of confusion, I think it definitely helped in creating a lot of awareness. My own DNA, I guess there is a predisposition towards risk and innovation. So I continue doing that. And I probably won't be happy if there was a very, very smooth ride. Like most entrepreneurs, I think I enjoy those tackling and doing something that is, coming out and creating a new path rather than going on something that is already been created. So yes, it has not been an easy path, but I think it is, if one doesn't do it, and many people have cleared a path a little bit in front of us before they came on. And so it's our responsibility to make it a little bit better than what it was when we came in. So that I think is the role that I have to play, to be able to make it a little bit smoother and better for people who follow us, rather than and use the advantage that the people in front of us have done.
You have received a lot of praises for the work that you have been doing. So which who praised you and that actually helped you in a way? Which among these, or was there a lot of scientists in fact praised you as well?
So I think it is it definitely helps when there are key opinion leaders who appreciate the work that you do. For instance, we had Dr. Renu Swarup yesterday, and I think I have always admired how she created the whole INSA-COG and many other parts from the government side. And I think for her to be appreciative of what we did is obviously plays a very important role in just making us feel and do much better. There have been many other people who have been part of our journey, and every single one of them has helped us. The early customers who believed in genomics before others did, they are extremely important. There are people who helped us in creating those right connections and others. And so I think in any entrepreneur's life, I think there are many people who are not so visible, but play a very important role in making sure that we are able to get to the destination that we are aiming for.
Definitely so. Tell us about some of your personal experiences that you have learned from.
I think the most key and important experience in being an entrepreneur is that it takes time, and it takes longer than whatever you think it is. So I think therefore it's important to be as persistent as possible. The second is that there are other things that you need to also do, is to make sure that a lot of times you have to create the right kind of the relationships. Maybe it is not to look at it at that point of time, but to be able to build it over a period of time. And the third is that when you're doing something and you're very passionate about it, you don't realize the time as well. So I think now when I think about it, many people look at it and say, you've been in this field for 21 years, but somehow it hasn't felt that long to me. So I think when you're doing something you love, it doesn't take that long, but one has to also have the DNA to be able to actually make sure that doesn't bother you, because if it does, then I think you're not enjoying that journey as much. So I think being passionate about whatever you're doing it well, and making sure that you enjoy what you're doing while you are at the journey, because I think ultimately life is a marathon. So you enjoy those little pieces of rush that you get at getting a small victories along the way.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anu, for your time today. And I hope you and your team attend everything that you wish to. All the very best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Palani.
For more such fine stories and video reports from field, subscribe to our channel, The New Indian.